When you think of a wave pool, maybe you think of something tiny at your local water park, like this or this. But for surfers, wave pools look a little something like this. Wave pools are bringing surfing to areas without coastlines and delivering consistent, reproducible killer waves. But are they the future? Or are they actually crushing the soul of surfing? For three-time world champion surfer Mick, the ocean offers a connection that you just can't get from a pool. From his start surfing with his brothers to a much-publicized encounter with a shark during the 2015 J-Bay Open, the unpredictable nature of the ocean has played a crucial role throughout his life. And for trailblazing free surfer Jamie O'Brien, who's constantly chasing the biggest, craziest, most out-of-this-world waves.
Well, I don't know. It's crazy, man. Like, when the wave comes out of a wave machine, if you caught this wave at lower trestles in the middle of the summer with nobody in your way, this is a dream wave.
I have surfed the wave gardens and stuff in Europe, but to be honest, after a day, I'm done.
A pool's already cool enough, and a pool with waves and barrels, like, come on, that's the dream, right?
For me personally, I have to be in the ocean all the time. Otherwise, I start getting really weird. I'm weird enough, so I don't need any more weirds.
I could just retire and surf wave pool the rest of my life. You just show up and it's on.
Wave pools have been around for almost a century. The first wave pools opened up in Munich and London in the 1920s and 1930s, but their waves were small, very small. In 1969, Big Surf opened up in Tempe, Arizona with 3-foot waves that could actually be ridden for 20 seconds. But compared to the ocean, the pools of the time were still pretty tame for professional surfers. But more recently, surfers have dreamt of creating perfect ocean-like waves in a pool without having to hunt them down on a hidden beach. But how do you get a wave worth surfing when you're really just sitting in a big concrete pool? Different wave pools around the world work in different ways. Some use a big hydrofoil like an airplane wing that runs down a track and pushes the water into the pool. Others use big air jets or levers to push water into a wave. And one experimental one in Australia uses a huge donut-like plunger to create ripples like a stone dropped in a lake.
Each module has a paddle. It works like a piano keyboard where you can play the modules in different ways to create different waves. You can change the size of the wave, the direction of the wave, the steepness of the wave. You can create a huge variety of waves.
But no matter how the waves are generated in pools today, surfing started in the ocean. And that connection to the water and the sea is something you just can't get from a pool.
We're not only competing against another person, we're competing against Mother Nature as well.
That build up to watching the swell come from 1 week out and then finally arriving. Is the winds going to be good? Are the waves going to be good? Is it going to be wonky? Is the sand right? There's so many different things that come into play.
Wave pools are a little bit different. You know what to expect. You know, the waves are pretty much exactly the same every time, where it's never the same in the ocean. You line up, you know exactly when they're going to pop out. I get bored, but it's a great training tool. I can only imagine what's going to happen in another 5-10 years' time. We might see some surfers from totally random spots.
There's a full surf community in the middle of Texas at Waco. Like, you would never think in your right mind to build a wave pool in Waco. And there's kids that never even been by the ocean that are busting airs already. I mean, it took me years to bust airs. I mean, like, what's going on with that wave pool in China? What are these guys doing? They're probably surfing all day long. There's going to be these guys just coming on tour and just smoking guys and like, what? Where'd this guy come from?
And surfers aren't just using wave pools to train anymore. The World Surfing League added a stop at a wave pool in California to its 2018 World Tour lineup. With surfing added to the Summer Olympic Games, wave pools could be an option for creating killer waves in locations that otherwise wouldn't have them. And with wave pools, crowds can be right next to the action, watching their favorite athletes from feet away rather than all the way on the beach. But are they exciting enough to make a competition stop worth it?
I don't know. I feel personally that it gets a little boring because you've got so much repetition.
I feel like wave pools and competitions, if they change them every year or every couple of years to different pools, I think it'd be really cool.
And surfing in a wave pool can be different from ocean surfing, both mentally and physically.
The pressure you put on yourself, though, is a little bit different in the wave pool because you do not want to blow this way. It might be 20 minutes until you get another one. In the wave pools, because it's short paddles or you can just run to the right spot, you're not using your arms as much. So it all sort of comes down to leg strength, really. And you got that repetition over and over again. The legs are probably the ones that take the biggest beating, where in the ocean, the thing that stops you from surfing all day long is your arms.
You're getting way more beat up in a wave pool. Just wave after wave after wave, and you don't want to go in, and it's not a pleasant wipeout. Sometimes they'll pick you up and slam you on the concrete, which is the same as the reef, and it is a little scary, to be honest. It's kind of weird, a little scary.
There's a different sense of accomplishment, I feel. When you get that perfect wave in the ocean, it's just like, there's nothing that has that same feeling.
You don't know what you're going to get with Mother Nature, and I think that adds to the satisfaction when you do get a good one. You're so happy. The wave pool, you kind of know what you're going to get. You're going there, you're going to get barreled, you're going to have a great time. You're going to be eating lunch 10 feet away from the wave.
You still get that same amazing feeling in the wave pool, but it's like, it's a bit manufactured,
Not only can the waves be programmed to fit everyone from brand new surfers to experts, but they can also create a skate park-like community where surfers can train, play, and hang out with friends and family.
In the ocean, everyone's a little bit more, I want this wave, and then they get jealous.
It's so much fun, it's like, it kind of takes away like the seriousness of surfing. You could rent a house right next to it. It's not like there's a million people showing up for the winter swell. It's like you just showed up to ride the wave for a couple days and then you're about to head home. Like complete happy.
And while wave pools are currently impressing surfers around the globe and opening up the sport to more people, there's still more in store for the technology in the coming years.
Being able to pump up the size would be great, and variety, being able to change it, the click of a button would just be ideal.
Perfect wave would be, a couple feet overhead, maybe kind of a technical entry into a big barrel, big spit, and maybe they could throw another wedge at it and we can go into another one into an air section. I think it's totally possible. And the crazy thing is the technology, they could build millions of different waves. It's just, do you have the time to build the wave?
For a sport that feels such a connection to the ocean and the environment, wave pools seem like they might be unsustainable, especially considering some of them are giant pools of water just plopped down in the desert. But many companies are doing their best to make them as efficient and green as possible. Surf Snowdonia in Wales uses recycled water from a nearby power plant to fill its pool. Other parks are turning to renewable energy to power the wave generation itself. And when it comes to evaporation, changing the shape of the wave can help to conserve every last drop.
I think as a whole, in the ocean or on land, we have to make sure that we look after the environment and preserve it for the next generations.
So maybe wave pools don't conjure up quite the same vibe as surfing on the ocean, paddling out and catching a wave at just the right time. But they can have their advantages, helping to bring new people into the sport and bringing surfing to locations it couldn't reach before. So have you ever surfed a wave pool? And if you had to choose just one forever, would you choose wave pool surfing or ocean surfing? Let us know in the comments down below.